Hello everyone, we are in Sapporo in northern Japan, Hokkaido, with a great guitar player, Sasajima Akio-san. Or
Hello.
like,
Yeah.
you can say maybe Akio Sasajima in the West. Last name in Japan, in East Asia goes first. So Akio is the first name.
Right.
Fantastic guitar player with a very interesting history. And as guys follow, those of you who follow my channel know that I like to talk about culture and history, so I'm going to talk about that. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Myself, I was born and raised in Hokkaido, which is a northern island of Japan, except 1 year until I was 25, and started playing guitar. Like back then, it was a folk song, and then I heard a little bit of Brazilian music before jazz. That was in high school, and when I was 18, after high school, I heard Wes Montgomery. The record was Jimmy Smith,
Yes.
Further Adventure. That just knocked me out, you know. And I self-taught, essentially until this day, jazz. And I spent 1 year in Tokyo, working part-time, different things. But I got to play with Sadao Watanabe, saxophone player. And then I moved to the States in 1977. And the first 12 years in Chicago. And I started playing, and then, you know, I didn't think I could make a living playing music. And of course, it's not just jazz, of any, whatever, comes, wedding, whatnot, party.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to record with some very well-known players. That's a really interesting story, how
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
open-minded, you know, the American veteran musicians were. I was just impressed by that.
So that was 1970s in
1970.
Chicago.
77, but in Chicago it's like a 70. Downtown Chicago is like 79.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What did you go there for music or to just?
Well, I didn't think I could make a living in the States at the time, but fortunately I had a part-time job was generated in Japan from a publishing company, which started releasing, you know, English, not just jazz, but music instruction books.
Okay.
Including Berkeley. I did
Okay.
the Berkeley method books, quite many of those, you know. And then, so I could make, I didn't have to do really hard job with minimum wage, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't making enough money, but I could support myself better. So then I started playing, and there were more gigs then, you know.
I understand.
Yeah.
So that was Chicago. You said 12 years, then you moved to New York. Is that or?
No, I was back and forth in New York because I had a good friend I could
Okay.
stay with, and I moved to the West Coast, and for a while did different things, but continued recording.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so San Francisco for a while, and then Northern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then back to East Coast or? Like,
Back to Chicago, back and forth, back and forth.
Back and forth
I
like
was
that.
you know, I was traveling.
So you were in the USA for quite a long time. Now you've come back.
I spent 40 years, 40.
So which year did you come back to Japan? And
The reason was my mother was getting really old, and
yes.
there's some other private, you know, circumstances.
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
What year was that then? 2000 something?
2017.
Oh, so quite recent.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so I was gonna go back and forth, but you know, COVID happened.
Yeah. Okay.
So
basically you are Kikoku Shijo. Kikoku Shijo is
yeah.
people who are born in Japan but spent, you know, the formative years outside and then come back and have
Right.
kind of a dual perspective. So I think you have a lot of very interesting stories to share because you have two perspectives.
Right, the reverse culture shock in a way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so when I look at any phenomena or cultural thing, I automatically look at from two different angles.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
Which
So-
I'm sure you were kind of same way.
Well, we played a gig together 2 weeks ago, and when we rehearsed and we played, I thought, wow, I'm back in America. The way everything is done here, the way you did it, I felt.
Why is that? Oh, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a good or bad thing. It's just something that I
Difference.
noticed. This is a difference.
Yeah.
Because I know when I work with a lot of Japanese musicians, I see there's a different way of doing things. But when I was with you, I was like, wow. Like very spontaneous.
I like the spontaneity.
Yeah,
so-
very spontaneous. And the rehearsal was just like, okay, do you know this song? Do you know this song? Bum, bum, bum. Whereas with Japanese, it was like we play the whole repertoire from beginning to end and everything. And usually we make we kind of clear on what we're gonna do. But with you, it's whatever, we'll figure it out.
Right, I'm known here like okay, I make a sort of loose set list, but the musicians by now they know. Oh, he's not going to play that.
Yeah.
I say first tune is this, and I'll just change my mind
Yes,
depends
yes.
on how people.
So that
you know.
reminds me a lot of how it was for me in Canada, USA, and Western Europe.
Yeah, the same thing. Yeah. yeah.
So actually, can you talk about how it was? Well, first of all, you're also from a generation that didn't have YouTube or anything, so it's much harder. So
Right.
learning jazz in the beginning, how was it?
Well, I mean, this is before CD time, so we had a vinyl, and I had pretty, worked hard to buy a decent stereo system, so that I bought a bunch of vinyls. But also in Japan, there are some today called Jazz Kisaten, a jazz coffee shop, and they usually serve very good coffee, and then usually the owner is like audio file guys, and they have sometimes 5,000 LPs, and then with a very good system, Macintosh, JBL. So you go there and buy coffee for back then, I don't know, $1.50, and hang out for 3 hours, 4 hours, listen to size, or sometimes the owner recommends, hey, this is a new one from, this and that, and but there was no videotape back then, I don't think, when I was like 18. So it's occasional TV, there's some American artists would play. So it's mainly listening, there weren't many instruction books either.
I think maybe it's also important to say that Japan has a strong history with jazz that goes very far back. So there are
Even
good players.
pre-war.
Yeah.
Like
So it's a very
1920.
long history. So were there players that people could tell you, oh, do this, do
Yeah,
that?
similar to Europe, but there was one group that was making a lot of money. It's like a rock and roll group at the time, but they're playing jazz, and you can still see them on YouTube. This is like right after the war, and Japan was flattened, bombed, but 10 years later,
Yeah.
But I occasionally put up to my YouTube channel some of the very older musicians from like early 60s.
Wow.
They were swinging,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are guest artists like Anita O'Day, Julie London, vocalists come from the States, and then
Collaboration.
backed up by Japanese big bands, like really swinging. But I figured out why they were swinging. Because they only had one. They didn't have too many varieties of it's pre-fusion,
Yeah,
so
okay.
they were all
Really
basically 95% only listening to Blue Note, the Riverside, those records.
Were you able to meet some of these people and kind of learn from them and play with them a little bit, or?
Where? When? Here?
No, in those days when you were younger, when you were learning, when you started to learn.
I met, Sadao Watanabe,
Yeah.
son, is the one he came to Sapporo, did the workshop, and I attended that, and he said, well, and so next time he came to town, okay, well, let's jam. I got to jam, and he's advised me to go to Tokyo, so I got to play with him and some other players. Then also Hidehiko Matsumoto, his nickname is Sleepy Matsumoto, who replaced Sonny Stitt, couldn't get into Japan for some maybe drug reason. Dizzy Gillespie heard him and hired him, and like, wow, back in like '62, I got to meet him. Also, American musicians, I got to meet George Benson.
Good.
Before big hit.
Yeah.
Cedar Walton, Sam Jones, Billy Higgins.
So you had a very, very good environment.
Yeah. I mean, but it was very precious because they don't come here much at all.
In those days, how did you practice? And of course, you listened, but did you have a method, or were you just listening and trying to understand what they were doing, figure out the phrases, the chords, the songs?
My method was knowing nothing. Actually, I mean, it is in a way true, because by the time I got to the States, I had been playing jazz for maybe 5 years, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got to Chicago, I was like, hey, you swing. And the reason I learned to swing was because I really didn't know much. I couldn't read at all. And so I just relied on my ear, but what I did was I practiced with not play along because there wasn't much at all. I made, out of this Jazz Crusaders live album.
Mm-hmm.
They play Blues and F for like 12 minutes. And because of the older time stereo, the soloist was on the right, the next soloist was on the left. So I took,
yes,
it was a reader to read tape, and I made a play along, and I played that with that every day.
Wow.
Yeah, so that gave me a sense of swing, and then this was because it was a live album. The audience go, cheers, and I feel like I'm playing, and I was only playing minor. I didn't know how to play blues, but it's just playing minor feels good. So that was that good training.
And then when you moved to America and you started playing with them, was there kind of a culture shock or a difference? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, good culture shock was people were so open, friendly, older musicians, no, big attitude. So, I mean, looking back, wow, man, I didn't know much at all, and I showed up, and they was like, yeah, hey, come on and play,
Yeah.
And that was wonderful.
So that went on for 40 years then. You
Yeah.
got to record with Ron Carter, you said, and many players.
First was Joe Henderson,
Mm-hmm.
and Ron Carter, and then Harvey S., Victor Lewis, rather. And I got to play with Buster Williams. Some musicians are not so well known, but have played with many, big time players. Yeah.
So would you say you learned a lot from playing with them, being with them, watching them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first time I got to play with sort of the piano trio in Chicago at the time, it's sort of equivalent to, say, Wynton Kelly trio, Red Garland trio, and these guys were in the 60s when I got there, so they were playing with Charlie Parker, and those veteran musicians. Not that they were known outside of Chicago too much, but they were real great musicians. And the bass player was kind to me. We did a lot of duo gigs, and I mean, he was a good friend of Ray Brown. And so anyway, I played with him, and the first time I played with him, I got excited, and the saxophone player called me and like, hey, the rhythm section is this. I think, wow. So first off, piano player said nicely, hey, don't play behind me. And I
So
said,
they're very direct.
yeah, I mean, nicely though.
Yeah, of course.
Instead of,
Yeah.
hey, and he said, when I solo, just give me the freedom. And I said, okay. But I knew that, so I said, I lay out. And so when my turn to solo came, so I was, I'm going to make a good impression. And
Yeah.
I played too loud, I came in, bam. So the mid seconds I start playing, the band goes boom, volume down. So I stick out. So they were telling me, hey, slow down, that without telling me, like, hey man, you're too loud, you know. He says, shoo.
Yeah.
That was very nice. And then I didn't have too many complaints. You know, they would give me some suggestions, like, you know, don't play behind me, but if you're gonna play behind me, do this kind of thing.
That's the old school education.
Yeah, on the stage.
Yeah,
on the
very
stage. Cool. Yeah.
So then, when you came back to Japan, can you tell us about some of these reverse cultural shock, or like what differences did you notice?
Well, well, because you know the biggest difference, well, in culture, of course, but it's lies on the languages. You know.
Yes.
The language is different because in Japan, because you have to be polite. No matter
indirect.
If they're older musicians, you know, you show them respect, but even if you don't respect them, you just have to talk politely, you know. But in the States, I learned, even like when I met Jim Hall, Ron Carter, Joe Henderson, they all say, yeah, call me Joe, you know. And so that kind of sunk in to my attitude. Like I'd be kind of direct, you know, even in Japanese. So that I might have pissed off some people.
Yes, that's very
offended some people. Like I was told, like, yeah, he's no longer Japanese, kind of.
I mean, I've said to other people, like in Japan, when you talk to people, it's very indirect. You have to find other ways. You can't say do this. It's more maybe you can. You know, it's
right. So
like
it's a ambiguous, you know, language and the culture. The reason is, so I found out, because in Japanese, the AI translation even misses the point, because in Japanese we don't say I, he, she.
Sure.
So the machine
Context.
does not know who's saying. We just judge by the situation, right? So that was because in a Shogun era, it was rude to say I.
Too direct.
Yeah, too direct. So the, you know, conversation in general in the States, you would say, so, oh, where are you going? It's like, oh, I'm going shopping, you know. Hold on, you can edit, right?
Yeah. But it's fun like this too.
So in the States, a neighbor comes out, like, oh, in the States, oh, where are you going? It's like, oh, I'm going shopping to, you know, Kmart, whatever, with this Costco, doing this, and they explain everything. And then just the neighbor say, oh, nice, have a nice day. In Japan, it's just so short, oh, where to? You know, and then the answer is, oh, just there. You know, chotto, just there. Oh, have a nice day. You know, you don't have to tell you all the details.
In that sense, how do you feel it affects the music then? Well,
I mean, it can be, you know, the cultural differences, because I've been to Europe as well. It affects how people express themselves, you know, and I get sometimes frustrated. Some of the musicians, like, I'm going, come on, just do whatever you like, and you know, but if they're younger, they're a little, you know, I don't want to be rude, so that inhibit them for expressing themselves more, and that because they grew up in that environment, and depends on the household, or working in a company, and it's just you can't stick out. You know the saying, right? The nail sticks out. Boom, boom, boom. So therefore, Sadao Watanabe told that also Japanese musicians are very kyo, what is that? Very
like the spirit,
detail-oriented, skilled, you know, like, fast to learn, like read well, so the ensemble can bam go like that. And he had a band from the States, even Steve Gadd and Will Lee, you know, some great studio musicians. And they're not as fast learning as Japanese. But when it's they're together, they have a lot more personality going. And that's in classical music too, I heard. You know.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's faster to get together, but it's just, we need a little more personality in a way, you know.
Sure. Actually, so you mentioned you have a YouTube channel. Actually, before I met you, I watched many of your videos just to practice Japanese, you know.
Oh, you
did? I want to learn, you know, the Senyogo.
So you learned some Hokkaido dialect.
But then you talk a lot about, you're very opinionated about a lot of things. How do the local people react to what you say? Because you have this both two perspectives.
Did I say some really opinionated things on the YouTube?
No, maybe not opinion, but like, you know, like what you think, how, maybe they did one, I think it was on swing or something.
Yeah, yeah.
The beginning of the year.
Well, because I still feel today that you know, swing feel is not because I spent so many years in the States. It helped me, but the people just didn't quite, why they don't get it, because in the 60s in Japan or 50s, they didn't have Akio, but they learned it to swing really well. That's because they were really listening to the records instead of machines, you know.
Sure.
So, and then I love Brazilian music because I played with some very great Brazilian musicians in Chicago, and that's a different, you know, that different type of swing. It's a more straight, clear cut, you know. You can play with drum machine, it still sounds very decent, you know, but swing wise it's just not there because it's a different type of rhythm, you know. But because the people are satisfied with machine going, the tempo does not change. But when you play with humans, it's always cool.
There's a human factor.
That's the fun part of it, you know.
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect at all. I mean, funk can be a lot more perfect. But swing-wise, I put some examples of, especially like that was Milt Jackson, Cedar Walton, Sam Jones, Billy Higgins. The tempo is like almost doubles.
Yeah.
Towards the end. You know.
Excitement.
It was Montgomery. I had one drags. So that was interesting.
Things happen.
Things happen, and then that was the night Ron Carter sat in with Wes Montgomery's. That's the half note.
Okay.
And you check it out. Blues, it gets much slower. Yeah, so you know it's a more flexible thing that I like the human factor because it's getting excited, it gets faster. You know.
That's very interesting. Do you actually teach also in Japan, or?
I'm sorry.
Do you teach in Japan?
Yeah, I mean I get some students, but I have been working on, because I've done some, you know, the instructional YouTube, but I was busy teaching myself more, you know. I mean, and then I think I'm gonna launch not YouTube, but it's, you know, some very reasonable amount of money, and then but to teach people, especially beginners, and some intermediate who don't quite have that swing, and then they are kind of boxed in with typical theory, scales, things like that.
That's the same in the whole world. But actually, I'm very curious because now I know this, you know, because I've been to places all over the world, seeing different players of the culture.
Right.
I think the modern Japanese jazz education seems to produce quite consistent technical results. Like the people, they know their things quite well compared to other countries. More on average, I think, in terms of knowledge, there's something.
Yeah, I mean,
something good.
I think the tradition of Japanese learning ability, or eager to learn, and so when we get together, you know, we move together, you know, and so because if you look back, even I don't necessarily talk about the war, but it's even late 30s, Japan had a technology without too much information, but you know they were building some huge battleships, and you know Japanese are good at learning and adapt, you know. things like that. So.
Do you have much experience with the modern Japanese education system, or you really just old school?
Do I have
Experience, like, did you ever have to work in a, you know, in a school, or kenkyu, they have the
No. I didn't. And then
to teach, I mean.
I was to teach.
Yeah.
No, I've done some workshops, but not in a school environment, and I think I get fired real fast.
No, that's very interesting. So it's quite different. You're very much old school.
Old school, not that I'm rude.
No, I understand.
I'm just saying that
I completely understand.
that the curriculum has to be this way. It's a.
So as we were recording, unfortunately, one of the microphones decided to fail on us, and we lost the footage along with it.
Oh no!
And so I don't remember what we were talking about, so we'll just improvise the way we do with jazz.
Right. Well, I think I was talking about the two school teachers when
English.
I was junior high school and high school, because even as a child, I kind of questioned even at the grade school, because I was moving around too much, and my dad moved around, so I had to adjust for different, cities and all that, and it's kind of, this is no fun, but the two teachers, I think, looking back, influenced me the most was this one calligraphy teacher in junior high school, and first lesson he said, "Well, let's stand up and exercise," and then you don't do that. You sit down straight and hold that brush right. But he said, well, this first lesson, you're just free to express whatever you want, and I'll teach you how to do that, but today you express yourself. That was very, very unusual at the time. And also in high school, English teacher, which was also very unusual, that a teacher actually spoke fluently, because he was an exchange student, in the States. Looking back, he clearly spoke American English, and he did the whole lesson in English, and we just go, what? And he said, you understand what I told you today in Japanese, if you study according to my curriculum. And he kind of disregarded the public high school's curriculum and did his own way.
Okay, so we're talking about the difference between the education system. Okay, and then I think we talked about, I don't know if this is before or after, and then obviously that left an impression on you. And then when you came back to Japan, I asked if you started teaching, because it seems they have a different system here that's very effective, of course.
Right, but I didn't teach in an official school, but in general, people's attitude, because that's a difference in culture. When you grow up in a certain structure of discipline or whatever it is, you just it's hard to get out of the box.
I understand.
So that's also influence jazz expression sometimes, and but that's the fun part of different culture.
Yes, and then you were saying like it's great to have different styles of players and everyone not sound like John Coltrane or
right. If everybody likes the same thing, then that means the more people like it, the better, kind of thing. So then jazz is not going to be popular music ever in a way. But because if variety of culture, variety of music, and within jazz, I think variety is
sure
important and fun part of it.
And so then you were talking about you want to create your own little some kind of school system to talk about the fundamentals, these kinds of things.
Well, I mean, you have your school, right?
Sure.
Online. So I had been working on it for, I have many hundreds of videos, but I kind of didn't throw it away. But it's just, no, this is not it for me. I mean, to convey the message, the more I do it, because I've been doing it for 50 years,
yes.
And it's fundamentals. If you take care of the basics, then you just go wider. But if you're stuck with the one no matter how good it is, the method, then you're boxed in.
Yes, fundamentals.
Right.
So it's not just soloing, but it's everything.
Everything.
Makes the music.
Right, because I like spontaneous, and sometimes all of a sudden I tell that my drummer, if you want to stop in the middle of the tune, if you feel like it, then go ahead. So if there are some really great music with pre-arranged, very tight, that's great, but if I do it 10 times, I get bored.
Sure.
I like, oh, what happens,
Mm-hmm.
on the spot. Yeah.
So thank you very much. This was take 2 of the
Take
last
2.
part.
I hope it works out.
Yeah.